Welcome back to Sister.
My coffee's almost finished.
Why are you drinking it so fast?
Don't know, it tastes nice.
Have you seen those new biscuits with the chocolate on them?
Which ones?
They are so nice. This is not a blooper.
It is, it's an instruction. A
No.
blooper instruction.
No, I want...
Corny and catchy.
No. I don't think so. Like about the biscuits. Have you seen those new biscuits?
What is your favourite biscuit?
No. I'm asking you about biscuits.
Okay, but I just asked you what's your favourite biscuit.
Because if someone said, have you seen those new biscuits? Which one? And then I'm like, oh my God, have you seen those new chocolate biscuits?
Which new biscuits?
The ones with the half chocolate on. Oh, so good.
I haven't, but saying that, what is your favourite biscuit?
The camera's rolling. Oh my God. Assalamu alaikum, guys. So I'm Aysha.
And I'm Ameenah.
Podcast created for sisters with sisters in mind.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Sister to Sister. My name's Aysha Mercedes and this is my co-host
Ameenah. Assalamu alaikum.
So welcome back to another episode of Sister to Sister. This episode's very different to the last one, isn't it? Like it's something that we felt that needs to be spoken about openly in the Muslim Ummah. And unfortunately it is happening more and more. As you can see by the title, we are going to be discussing secret polygamous marriages.
We are, because like Aisha just said, it's happening a lot. It needs addressing. It needs addressing from both angles, you know, from the side of the sisters and the side of the brothers. Like there needs to be a certain amount of accountability that's happening, and I think the people of authority in the community need to be made more aware of it and need to actually step up in kind of like stopping it, making sure it doesn't happen, protecting sisters, maybe guiding people more in terms of marriage. I don't know, but there needs to be something. So let's start by just at least talking about it.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
And the angle that we want to come at it at is not from an angle of like, you know, creating any drama or calling anyone out or exposing anyone specifically. We're going to be speaking to four sisters. Three of them I actually know personally, and Ameenah knows a couple of them as well. So yeah, they're going to be anonymous, and their identities are going to be protected. Women like ourselves, women like our friends and companions that are finding themselves in these situations more and more, because it's becoming an issue, and we're just gonna crack into it and just.
I think, to be honest, it's something that's probably been an issue for a long time. The sisters that we have got in the video who are sharing their story, they're just four sisters, but pretty sure there's many sisters out there that have been in similar situations. And like we said, there's a certain amount of accountability on both sides in regards to the sisters and regards to the brothers. Like, I think there's some deeply rooted issues where people accept going into this situation.
Yeah, we're going to do 2 episodes, so this is the first episode. We're just going to get straight into it. We're going to play you the clip of the first sister, and then we'll catch you back here in a bit.
Okay, bismillah. So I entered into a secret marriage at the age of 23. I had been married once before and I had one child at the time. I met the brother on a matrimonial site, and we spoke very briefly before meeting. He was very adamant to meet. He wanted to do it the right way, he said, i.e. me and him and a third party The third party ended up being the Imam of the masjid that he attended, where he was very well known in his community. He did a lot of work in the masjid. He would even give the khutbah on a Friday and give lessons and these kind of things. So anyway, that is one thing that obviously made me want to marry the brother, knowing he's got, you know, a lot of knowledge, mashallah, and active in the community, and people said good things about him, especially the Imam. So we met, and you know, I felt comfortable, and you know, I liked the brother, and so on and so forth. So after this meeting, he made me aware that, you know, he didn't feel like he could tell his parents or his family at the moment, due to the fact that he is married already. So not only was his wife not going to know, his family weren't going to know, and no one in the community weren't going to know, as of yet. So these were his words, that, you know, it will take a little bit of time, but he will tell people in due time. So I decided to accept that for myself. And I quickly noticed that that was a very, very big mistake, because he didn't give me any rights. In a nutshell, I wasn't provided for. There was no household. We didn't live in a household. He would tell me to wear niqab when you coming out with me, obviously, because he didn't want anyone to know who I was, just in case someone did see us. And, you know, we would go places where he wouldn't be noticed by anyone. And he didn't provide for me financially. There was no rights, basically, in my marriage, other than those that he required. Right, so I approached the Imam and I said, this can't be normal, and I can't live like this. Even though, yes, I agreed to the situation, I didn't realize to what degree this secret was. I didn't realize it was something where I couldn't be seen with my husband. I thought it was something that we were going to work on and he would be able to tell them in a short space of time. He also then tells me that his wife is expecting a child, and obviously, you know, he didn't want to upset her, and obviously that's something that I understood at the time, but then realized it was all just a way of me just accepting the situation, just accepting how I was being treated, not getting any rights, and just being content with that. And due to his knowledge, his vast amount of knowledge, he would use things and, you know, manipulate them and make me feel as though, you know, what I was doing, I was being patient, and, you know, what I was doing, it was a good thing, and, you know, I'm a righteous Muslim for putting up with this treatment. So after I approached the Imam, he felt there was a conflict of interest because of his relationship, the nature of the relationship between him and the brother. I wasn't aware that they were close, but now I see that their companionship is what led the Imam to accept this marriage, because he acted as my wakil. So that's the only reason why I believe he let me marry the brother, because of their relationship, which was so disappointing. And, you know, you feel like you're supposed to trust in these people in our community. So anyone who wants to or is thinking about marrying someone who does not claim you publicly as their wife, whether that's a polygamous marriage and no one's going to know, or it's just that no one, literally, the whole community, parents, everything doesn't know, I would say avoid at all costs. Because the only thing that's going to happen is you will feel damaged. You will be damaged. You will think low of yourself for a long time, just like I did. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I didn't think that, after that, I didn't think I was ever going to get married again either, because I felt so destroyed by it that you could trust such people in the Muslim community who are supposed to be there safeguarding you, and then they do that. So I just felt like the trust had been lost in the Muslim community, and it was really, really, really difficult. Really difficult. What are you supposed to think of yourself after that? After someone treats you basically as if then you're not their wife, you're you're something that helps them to pass their time, and they get their rights and you don't get yours, and it's very sad that I know plenty of sisters who have gone through this. So it's not something that doesn't happen. It's something that's very common. And I would just say it took me a very, very long time to heal from that. Very long time. And I think it still affects me now. I still get triggered by, certain things. If I feel as though someone is trying to withhold something from me, or if I sense that if I sense that there's any kind of resistance to give me my rights, I'm triggered straight away, because I just think of that situation. I think of that situation and how it made me feel. And so I would just say, if you want to keep your sanity and your iman, then avoid being married to someone who is not willing to tell people.
So that was sister number 1, subhanallah, and as I said, I do know the sister. I do remember when this was happening, and I do remember the sister getting into this particular marriage, and she kept it very secret. She didn't really communicate the process with me. She kind of just said, I'm going on this meeting, and I think a lot of sisters are wanting to get married, wanting that companionship, and therefore are accepting something that ordinarily they wouldn't accept. And the brothers are kind of really selling them a dream, to be honest.
Well, let's address the fact that the brother was a prominent figure in the community. Let's address the fact that the brother knows better. I think there's definitely a lot to be said about people in positions of authority, people in positions of knowledge, being considered an alim. You have a certain amount of responsibility in the community. And when you use your authority and your position and your knowledge to take advantage of sisters so that you can get married and basically use your rights, which we know that it's your right to have another, up to 4 wives. We know.
And can I just say as well, like, this isn't about polygamy, by the way.
Yeah, of course
this
not.
isn't about. I just want to make that clear, like at the beginning of the video.
But remember, like they're doing it, and it's almost like it's under some guise of I am having a second wife.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it in secret.
Yeah, then that's why they do it, because they're knowledgeable, because the two of the brothers had said it, you know, they're knowledgeable enough to know, I can get away with this. Do you know what I mean? So this is how they tweak it.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about brothers who are knowledgeable, using their position of authority, number one, in the community, their stature and their knowledge. Their knowledge. Yeah. Number one, first of all, this is appealing. This is appealing to any sister. Why would you not want to marry a brother who's knowledgeable? But when you use your knowledge to take, you know, use it to, is this taking advantage of vulnerable people, vulnerable sisters? This is when it's not fair. It's kind of like you're taking, like you said, it's not haram.
What happens is they start lying. Lying is haram, right? So the secret marriage in itself is not haram. You don't have to have permission from your first wife. You technically don't need to tell her. And so, and if you two agreed and signed a contract, that's a halal contract. Do you know what I mean? What starts to become haram is now when you're start to lie about it, and you're lying to her, you're sneaking around, you're not giving her rights. This is the side of it that then starts to become haram. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I think for the sisters who are obviously getting involved on the side of being the secret marriage, like, so for example in sister one's situation, I think you're very unsuspecting. She was very unsuspecting of what was going to be the outcome for her.
Definitely.
You can't predict how it's going to go.
No.
And especially when you've been, like you said, sold a dream, you think that, okay, this is going to be fine.
And this and she's like someone that's, because again, isn't about polygamy. She's someone that's very open to polygamy, and so it's like not a problem to go into and be a second wife, not an issue.
Right.
But again, like I said, it's
the problem happens when you start not getting your rights as well. I think, because obviously this was an issue for her. She wasn't getting her rights.
But this is the big problem with it. Sisters will give up their rights. This sister gave up her rights in order to make the situation easier for the brother. And then what's happening is now she's starting to become
resentful
and sad
and
upset because why? Because she's not getting her choice. Rights.
Yeah, which is where the accountability comes on from both parties. Are you able to sustain that? Number one, as both of them, are you able to sustain that emotionally? And number two, is that what you really want for yourself, as a sister?
Yeah. Like a kind of, you know, and with this situation, they didn't even they never stayed in that marriage overnight together, not even one night. SubhanAllah.
So let's play a clip from sister number two.
Okay.
So like I said, I didn't initially know, it was going to be a secret. However, I think on the third meeting I was told, and by that time I was like, okay, it's weird that I even kind of agreed to it, because I remember that my friend maybe a year before, she was getting into a polygamous marriage, and my whole thing was like, oh, make sure that you speak to his wife, see what she's like, and and stuff like that. So it's funny because when you're not in the situation, it's easy to give advice to someone when you're not in it. So I agreed. We done the nikah, and for the first few months, it was, I guess, we were just getting to know each other. The difficulties in her not knowing at that time was that we wasn't really able to spend like consistent nights together at the beginning. So I think after a few months, there were periods obviously we got to stay away together and stuff like that. But there wasn't the consistency as in every week. So it was difficult. So from my side, I guess I kind of started to push, when you're gonna tell her, when you're gonna tell her. But that at that time, I think that was about 3 months in, and there was a situation that happened on their side where the brother was like, he couldn't tell her at that time. And the reason for it was actually a good reason. Um, so I think every time you kind of bring it up, it's not that you get shut down, you just think, oh, okay, fine, all right, I'll just be patient. You say, all right, I'm going to have Sabah, you do another 3 months, then it probably comes up again, when you're going to tell her, when you're going to tell her. But this kind of situation that was happening over there, it was like a long-term situation where he was not going to be able to tell her for some time. You would just make assumptions that even though person A is not going to know, you would make assumptions that that brother's going to give you all your rights. You would make those assumptions because we're Muslim. You know your rights, I know my rights. So after about 3 months, because I wasn't getting my weekly rights for nights, in our meetings, we had agreed that I was going to get X amount of nights, and the person was not able to fulfill that part of the contract. So after 3 months, like I said, the issue came up where he said that he wasn't going to be able to tell her, but he was going to try his best to work out a way that he would be able to give me my nights and stuff. So that went on for another 3 months. I got a third party involved. When we went to that person, and then he said to that person, she wants me to stay with her this amount of nights a week, and I can't do that because person A doesn't know. That person said, well, you agreed to that, so you have to give that to her. So he had to find a way to basically give me my nights. That was fine, that happened. And then that continued for 2 years. To be honest with you, I would say that 90% of the arguments were because of that situation. There were issues in terms of, we can't go to that place because that person's family lives in that area and we might get seen. There was a lot of places that we went together and a lot of things that we did together, but there was just maybe one or two places that it was an issue for us to go. I was like, this is not working. This ain't working because why should I feel restricted in a marriage? You're telling me you can't go to this place because of this person's family. I just felt like it was really unfair. Having restrictions like that on a marriage because the person's decided to keep you as a secret, why should you have to, go without or, not be aided with something because of this other person? And that's why I said 90% of the arguments in that relationship were based around the situation, the restrictions it was putting on me, the way it was making me feel. For me, it didn't make me feel sad. It made me angry. It made me angry at her as well. It never made me angry at him because I was like, sometimes it's weird how we think, yeah? I don't want to say how we think as women. I'm seeing it like, oh, it's her fault. Oh, he doesn't want to tell her because of her. Not, oh, he doesn't want to tell her because of him. Do you know what I mean? So maybe she was the scapegoat for, justifying why he was doing that at the time. That person, it never made me feel like you're less of or you're not equal, or I was never made to feel like that at all. At all. At those times when she didn't know. So there was lots of time spent together. There was lots of activities done together. So it kind of balanced it out, the fact that that person didn't know. And then it was becoming less and less of an issue as time went on. It even got to the point where I was just like, I don't even care if he told her. I actually didn't care. I believe I got to a point where I was just like, it is what it is now. I'm just going to make the best of the situation. And if it lasts, it lasts, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I think that's how I felt, or that's how I believed I felt at that time. But really, I don't think I did feel like that. But that's the thing. A situation can change you, innit? Yeah. So when you're in a situation for that period of time, it's not that I felt like no sympathy or no empathy. It's just that that was the circumstance, and I adapted to the circumstance. So I didn't bother having the arguments of, oh, when you going to tell her? Like I said before, at the 3 month stage, I was like, oh, you need to tell her now so that we can spend more time together. We can push our relationship to the next step. And like I said, there was a reason as to why he chose to hold back on telling her at that time. And I thought that's fair enough. When you have children, number one, how many times are the Muslim sisters going to keep getting married to these brothers and bringing them home to their children? Come on. No. And it's not haram, it is halal. It's halal. But we need to understand that children get affected by this, isn't it? For me, my decision at that time was I'm doing this. My kids are not going to be involved. My kids are not home on this day and this day. That's that. That was me going into that. That's what I wanted at that time. Yeah. I wasn't looking to be no happy family stepdad business. No. I just wanted someone for me, companion for me, someone that can spend time with me, someone that can take me out, someone that can fill certain needs that I have. Yeah. It was for me. It can't work. It can't work. And it didn't work. In the end, it didn't work. That's the thing, isn't it? So at the time, it was convenient. And you know what? I don't regret going into it because at the end of the day, there was some good things that came out of that relationship. Yeah, 100%. However, would I have done it differently? Yes, I would have. I have to take away from that experience, and I have to learn from that experience. And the one thing that I need to learn is don't repeat the pattern. Yeah, so that I don't end up in the same situation again. That situation has actually changed me a lot and made me think differently. As in, your standards are here, but for some reason we compromise and we back down and we lower what we know we deserve and what we're worthy of for what out of the blue one day he said to me, oh, I've told her. He literally just said, look, I've told her. There was no preparation, there was no conversation, there was nothing. It was. But saying that, why would I expect someone to tell me what they was gonna do when they didn't tell her what they was gonna do? Like, why would I expect someone like that to actually consider me and my feelings in their selfish decisions? Because that's what it is. It is. It's selfish decisions. You made the selfish decision to take on a second wife without her knowing, and then you've made a selfish decision to tell her about me without me knowing. First, I got a text. I remember I was doing my work and literally my heart started beating so hard like it was gonna come out my chest. I was like, like in shock. It's weird the way that it's just subhanAllah, it's so weird how much of an effect like when you hear a news, in it how it feels in it when you hear a news, but you wouldn't think something like that could have the same impact on you as something worse. Do you know what I mean? That physical effect. It was just crazy, and I couldn't for the rest of the day. It knocked me off. I couldn't think. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know what to say. Obviously, I tried to do the nice thing. I was like, I think he said something like, "Oh, I'm gonna need some time to deal with the backlash," and I was like, "Okay, may Allah make it easy or whatever." Yeah, but obviously, I wasn't. I was just texting that. I weren't even thinking that. It was just like I didn't even know how to react. And then as we started communicating, it was this has happened and that's happened, and I'm not gonna tell her this and I'm not gonna tell her that. And then it started to go into she wants to know who you are. She wants to know what you look like. She wants to know just too many details. This person wanted to know my life story. Like, she wanted to know everything about me. And you know what? Within reason, okay, but it was not within reason. It was not within reason. You're demanding to see pictures of me, yet you would never send pictures of yourself. This is the sister that wears niqab. You know, I'd understand you want to know, oh, how old is the person? What is their, ethnicity? Um, do they have children? Stuff like that. But she wanted specific particulars. So she was, finding out information about me, and then she was, sending rude messages to him regarding me. So then it was that, kept trying to add me on social media. Then it was she managed to get my phone number and started to prank call me. Um, then there was a like, really rude um, email. Um, and then yeah, and then it just continued and continued and continued. And then each time she was just becoming more rude each time. And the thing is, she would never like directly calm and just say, look, can I talk to you? And she was angry and she was very, very bitter. And you know what? In the whole time, she never dealt with me like a Muslim. Like, she did not deal with me how a Muslim should deal with another Muslim. She dealt with me disgusting, to say the least. That carried on for about a year. All of that abuse, stalking, and then after about, let's say, six, I think from the whole time actually, it was getting really difficult for him. So it's getting really, really difficult. It was getting to the point where, like the sister, she was like, I remember I had read on Islamic Q&A that it is haram for the first wife to basically infringe on the second wife's rights and stuff like that. And basically, that's what she was doing. It's like as if she was making it haram for him to come to me. It was like it was haram for him. It was haram for him to be with me. It was haram for him anything to do with me. It was as if it was haram. That's how she was behaving. I think he just couldn't handle it. He just couldn't handle it. And in the end, someone had to go, and it was always going to be me. It's always going to be the second wife. It's always going to be the secret wife. It's always going to be the wife that you know compromises or gives up her rights, or it's always going to be that one. For me, I'm not going to say I felt used, but I felt as if why is it okay for me to get thrown in the bin? Why is that okay? Why is it okay for the because I don't want to say use this as a scapegoat, yeah. But why is it okay for the revert? Why is it okay? And that's like cliche. That's old. Like that's something that we've heard so many times. This always happens to revert sisters and blah 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 blah. But yeah, it does. But why? Why is it? Why is it that the reverts always give up their rights? Why? Not all the time, but a lot of the time we do. I don't want to make it like that because I don't believe that in this situation it was specifically that's not why things finished. Things finished because the brother took on more than he could handle and he realized he couldn't handle it. And so, like I said, something had to give and it had to be me at the end of the day. But how did I feel? I felt abandoned. I felt like I had been oppressed by both of them. Um, because like when like I'm saying, when all of that stuff was going on with her, um, I felt that she was oppressing me. He was not. he was not. I mean, he says that he was obviously dealing with it, but clearly he wasn't. And I felt like she was allowed to do whatever she wanted, and she was allowed to get away with it, whereas I was not allowed. I wasn't allowed to come back because I could have come back. You know, I could have said many, many things, and I think that's what it was. I think that he was scared that I would say things that would maybe make things worse for him on that side. Um, so I was kind of like, you know, I was manipulated, I was threatened, I was given ultimatums. You know, that was happening to me, but I can't say that wasn't happening to her. But you know, even if he did give her ultimatum, he was never going to see it through because they have kids together and stuff like that. Polygamy is not for everyone. If it's done the right way, stuff like this, it could still happen because even if the first wife knows about it, she might not be happy about it, and she might be a person like this person who is willing to do anything and everything, yeah, even do haram, even oppress another Muslim, so that they don't have to be in a situation that Allah has made halal. You know, it's a very difficult situation for everyone. It's more so for the first wife, especially because she didn't know. Yeah, it's a difficult situation, and wallahi, I understand that. However, your behavior is not justified. The brother's behavior, how he dealt with me in many of the circumstances where she was putting pressure on him, is not justified. And it's not fair. It's not fair that a woman should have to go through that because I've been through that once, but there's sisters who have been through it time and time again. Yeah? It's not fair for them. However, we have to learn from our situations. You know, if someone's done it to you once, don't let someone do it to you again. If you don't do things properly, yeah, as much as people say, oh, it's halal uh, uh, um for the man to get a second wife without notifying his first wife. There'll be many people say yes, halal. It's halal. Or fine, it's halal, but is it the best way to go about it? No. Does it involve haram? Yes. Does it involve lying, which is haram? Yeah. You know, and then each thing leads to another, and that's the problem. So when you start off something with, I'm not saying the intention was bad. It wasn't bad. However, there was an intention of deception in it. How can good come from that? It's inevitable, isn't it? It's inevitable that you're living a double life, you're living a lie, people are going to get hurt. And that's, in the end, ultimately, everybody got hurt. I got hurt, he got hurt, and she got hurt.
So this sister number two situation is very different from sister number one, in that she kind of had an initial positive experience, right? She kind of, you know, made obviously that decision based off of, you know, once you know get to know a person and you become like, you've kind of made that almost like that unofficial contract to get married, and then, you know, oh, by the way, it's secret. I'm not going to tell the wife. Just let her give it a few months.
Yeah.
A few months turns into a few years, and you know she's getting used to the idea, and then he goes and tells her. You know, he goes and tells her, and of course she's going to be betrayed, right? She's going to be upset. She's going to be hurt. I mean, she didn't deal with it in sort of an Islamic manner, and there was a lot of abuse, and there was a lot of, you know, drama, and it was extremely.
Abuse not from the brother.
No, just from the wife. The wife. But that's what I mean. It's understandable that somebody who'd known that their husband has been married, right, for 2 years behind her back, you're going to be upset. And again, the second wife is not prepared for that, you know, having to, oh, let's give her time, having to give up your nights so that he can console her, and the abuse and the stalking and the harassment.
Yeah, coming from the other wife.
You know, so it's very different in a sense of the first situation. And what's like really like, and I was just getting quite emotional, I was saying to Ameenah, it's really upsetting that this is just me and Ameenah that know 3 or 4 people, and the damage that it does long term. And imagine how many sisters are allowing themselves to be in these positions.
Because this is the thing, like the sisters, okay, they put themselves in that position, right? Fair enough. They put themselves in that position because they had trust in the brother. They trusted the brother that they were going to make the right decision, the situation, you know, according to, you know,
Quran and Sunnah. Yeah,
exactly. Now, when you're then go through all of that as sister 2 did,
yeah,
and then end up divorced. This is not like, this is real, because we can be, you know, people might say, okay, but it's not haram, so, you know, sisters just need to have sabr with the situation, and this is not the correct way to address the situation.
No.
Somebody has now been put in a position where they've been emotionally drained, and this is a form of, almost like a form of emotional abuse, to be honest, because now the sister has to deal with fixing herself, healing herself. Going through a divorce is not a nice situation for anyone. I'm not saying it was nice for the brother either, but at the same time,
and I mean,
and it's not even one sister we're talking about. There's 2 sisters,
and with the
wife, has had to deal with the fact that she's now felt betrayed. Her sense of trust has gone out the window. You know, after being with her brother for so long, you don't know that they've gone and got married.
Can I just say, with the brother as well, you know, the impact on the brother in this situation and other situations is that he's in a position where he can't manage the situation. And it's also, we're not just blaming the men, right? Because obviously it takes 2 to tango and whatnot, right? 2 to make the contract. But he may have to make a decision because of the situation where one of the wives walks away, or where he can't manage that situation because he wasn't honest and open in the first place. And that can't be easy, you know. It cannot be easy from that side of things. But sorry, I just wanted to comment.
And I think obviously in both of these situations with sister 1 and sister 2, that aspect of the lying, you're having to lie, you're having to lie, you're having to tell lies to get through your day, as the brother. You're having to lie to be able to avoid arguments, to be able to avoid, this is now where we're stepping into haram.
And this is what we were saying, wasn't it? It's okay, cool, let's dress it up, let's not go into, you know, the deen aspect of marrying and, you know, not announcing it, right? Because that's what effectively what you're doing. You're not announcing your nikah, right? But that's fine, cool, if that's the way you decide to do it. But we're here to show you, and this is completely real stuff. We're here to show you that the effects and the impact on everyone involved in these situations is massive.
Yeah,
you know,
it makes no
sense.
And
it's long term as well.
It makes no sense to go through all of that.
It's halal for you.
Exactly.
It's your right, brother. Why are
Have a conversation. Have a conversation.
If you can't have a conversation with your wife, right, and this is where you're at in your marriage, and you're not allowed to exercise your rights, that's something you need to address. However you address it, Allahu Alam, but that's something you need to address. If you feel like you cannot tell your wife, you could ask the question, why are you getting married, right? But then that's your choice. But why would you put another sister in a situation that where you know that you feel like you can't address this situation with your first wife? How do you think this is going to go?
Like, it's literally a recipe for disaster. It makes no sense. Everyone in the situation is impacted somehow, some way. And then if there's kids involved, subhanallah, They are seeing this.
Yeah.
They are absorbing it. And you think that they're not going to be impacted by it as well. It's not fair.
And they're impacted by mummies now, because in all of the stories, the second wife is divorced, right? So now mummy's sad, mummy's struggling mentally, emotionally, psychologically. Sister number 2 said she felt like she'd been thrown in the bin. Thrown in the bin, like, you know, and she has children, and she's still got to get up every day and look after those children and be a mother, go to work, you know, whatever else she has to do in her daily life, of what it takes to be a mother, to be a mum, to be there for your children. And she's struggling, she's suffering, because she ends up in a situation where she's asked to basically remove herself from the marriage, because the brother cannot manage.
You can't manage the situation that you instigated.
Yeah, and like you know, I don't want to put all the blame on the brother in that situation, and even in the first situation. But we as women as well, we need to understand, and this is why we're putting this out. We as women need to understand what we are putting ourselves in for. This is not about just, you know, bashing the brothers, and we are accountable as well. Just like with our sins, if we go ahead and do something, we can't say rare made me do it. You know, nobody can make you. Yes, manipulation is real. Yes, you know, people can, you know, seem like something that they're not. Cool, we get that. But as a woman now, we're talking to you as well. We need you as our sisters in Islam to, like, judge the situation for what it is and think about how the situation is going to impact you if it goes wrong.
Yeah, man. There's a certain amount of, like, recognizing that your self-worth is on the table.
Yeah.
Here. Like, your self-respect is on the table.
Yeah.
Here. Are you do you need to put yourself in that situation? Do you need to be somebody's secret wife?
Yeah. And ask yourself why you would accept that for yourself, sis.
Would you accept that for your daughter?
Yeah. And that's a great point. That's a great point. If you have daughters, I don't have any children. I know, mashallah, you've got 2 lovely, beautiful ones. But, like, Ameen. But yeah, if it, and would you even accept that for your sister if you don't have children? Would you accept it for, you know, your auntie, one of your close family members? Would you, if they came to you and said, "Oh, I'm going to marry this brother, and he doesn't want to tell any of his family or his wife, and he wants to keep it, you know, out of the community, and we can't go to this place and that place, and I can't show that I'm married, and I can't say who it is because, like, where's your head at if you would then say to, you know, somebody that you love and you care about that, you know, go for it, go for it.
Even like, yes, I have daughters, but even for my son, I wouldn't encourage you to go and do that to somebody's daughter.
Yeah, subhanallah.
To 2 of somebody's daughters.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I wouldn't be encouraging you. And the moment if I had to hear about it, I'm gonna have words.
Yeah.
Because you have sisters.
Yeah.
You have a mother. You know, come on. The impact of this, you know, this is it's different. It's different level, and it's really not fair on everyone involved. And that's the main thing. Like, none of us can, like, see the future. Okay, Allah knows best what's going to happen.
Yeah, because you could go into, like, a polygamous marriage or even a monogamous marriage, and, you know, but that's not what we're talking about. Obviously, everything is qadar Allah, and everything is, you know. But if you go into it, Quran and Sunnah, you go into it where the Prophet ﷺ tells us to announce our nikah, to let people know, to let the community know, then obviously, and we're trying to do things according to Quran and Sunnah, then, you know, it's pleasing to Allah at least, and you can come away feeling, you know, that self-respect is there. Yeah. You're not going to feel like you were thrown in the bin. You're not going to feel like, one sister said, a prostitute.
Yeah. I just think for me, it's the use of the knowledge, because sister number 2 was, you know, in a situation. In fact, both of these sisters, were in a situation with brothers who were knowledgeable brothers. I'm talking like
really.
They know the deen, they know the haqq, and so because of that, you're using certain hadith, certain ayat, and making the sister feel like this is okay, it's gonna be fine, alhamdulillah, you know, being told, oh sister, you know what, Allah will reward you for your sabr, knowing that the sister's getting harassed, abused, all these things, and you could stop it, you could, you know, you could have prevented the situation. But what you're doing is you're consoling her with your you know, alhamdulillah, Allah will bless you for your sabr. It's patronizing. It's patronizing.
And I think, like, just to even address the brothers in some sort of way as well, like, you know, obviously this is sister to sister, but if any brothers are, you know, tuning in, watching, like, brothers, just look at the impact that this is having on our sisters.
Mentally.
I understand, you know, the need for marriage, and I understand that it can be difficult for women being in polygamy. I totally, like, understand that, but this is not the way to do it, brothers. This is not, it's not healthy, it's not, you know, sustainable, as we see time and time again, and the long-term impacts and effects that it has on iman, that it has on mental health, that it has on, you know, emotional well-being. You know, a couple of the sisters, I've obviously, like I said, I know them. They're still, even now, they're still, and some of these situations were a few years ago, and they're still kind of struggling emotionally. They're still healing, you know, because.
And not only that, you don't feel like you want to, you know, to get married again. You've been divorced now.
Yeah.
So it has an impact on what you think of yourself, because obviously we know that this is something that is disliked in the Muslim community. Divorce is disliked. And let's be real, like, you can be a sister, you can, you know, have all these great attributes that come off. You've been divorced once, twice, you got kids. The likelihood of you being able to get married again is very slim. Because brothers are picky. And I think that's an important thing to think about for the sisters. Like, I came across a sister, she'd never been married, and she was considering marrying a brother in polygamy, and it wasn't even the fact that it was a secret marriage, but she was considering, but she'd already had started getting abuse from the first wife before she'd even entered into the situation. And just in general, that's marriage, polygamy, anyway, there are certain red flags of how the marriage is going to be. Right? So you have to be aware, like, okay, that's a totally separate situation, but, you know, it's a big red flag in entering a marriage. The brother's wife is already attacking you. Right? The brother's wife's already attacking you. She's already having things to say. And so you're putting yourself automatically in a situation that already contains fitna. The same thing with being a secret wife, right? You're putting yourself in a situation where who knows how the wife's going to react when she finds out. Who knows how it's going to affect the husband, the children, with your children, with her children, you know, his children. Or children of your own, and yourself, you know, and not just yourself in the marriage, but yourself if you have to leave the marriage, or if you decide to stay in the marriage, how it's going to impact on the relationship. Because don't forget, that's your sister in Islam as well, and you're marrying her husband behind her back, and you're not even giving yourself and herself a chance to meet and to speak and to just women, be, you know, like, as women, like, as another woman, you know that there's going to be a certain amount of emotion involved in this. And yes,
big amount of emotion.
Like, we know that it's the brother's right. We know this, and, you know, everybody in the situation needs to understand that first and foremost. But that doesn't mean that these emotions aren't there, and they won't rise up on the, you know, and come to the surface. So it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be addressed. So yeah, big red flag if you know that you're being asked to go into a situation where you're the secret.
Yeah. So from the first two set of truths from these two sisters that we know personally, it's going to be a lot to take away on the first part of this episode, and yeah, I just hope that people can take some form of awareness, benefit from this episode.
Inshallah. Part 2 is gonna obviously give more food for thought as well, but I think it's just important to recognize this is a real thing. This is really happening, and like we said at the beginning, accountability is a necessity in life in general. Marriage is an important contract between two people, and certain things really need to be discussed. We need to stop going, as women, we need to stop going with, you know, what the heart wants. Yes, we don't want to be lonely. You can't allow yourself to just run away with those feelings because you want what you want in the moment, because the long-term effects, you're going to have to deal with that. It's real stuff. It's real stuff.
So we will catch up with you guys on part 2, inshallah. And I hope you've taken away something from this episode. I've been Aysha and she's been Ameenah, and we're off.
That's all from us on another episode of Sister to Sister. We really appreciate all of the love, all of your messages and feedback. But until next time, be kind, as you never know what battle someone is facing.